welcome to Kids Camp and Critters and Creation. I'm Keith Nelson from Camp Kalakwa, Florida, a little corner of God's creation. You know, we have some cool animals here, and all the animals we brought are coming from Camp Kalakwa. We saw some that taught us some pretty good lessons, and today we have another cold-blooded reptile. This one's different. I wonder, did you know that there's such a thing as dragons? Dragons are real. You know, as a kid growing up, I thought dragons were just in storybooks. And then I learned that there are dragons. And this dragon's name is Neo, which means new. And he's new to us relatively, but he's got a lot of beautiful color. It is a him. There are boy dragons and girl dragons. Their real name on this one is bearded dragon. And he gets that name because he can puff out a big fluff of skin under his neck, and it can be dark and black or red. And that big puff of skin he does when he's stressed or angry or excited. And I can't get him to do it on demand, but they are pretty smart. Bearded dragons are the smartest of the lizard world. They can recognize faces and voices, and Neo even knows his own name. If you had one in your house long enough, he would learn the sound of your own doorbell, and he would come running over and see who's there, kind of like your dog does, right? And the truth is, they can even wag their tail like a dog sometimes. The bearded dragon will blend in with his surroundings in what was called camouflage earlier, and he has spikes going all the way down his sides and around his ears, and those spikes can help dissipate heat. Sure thing, Rayleigh.
Can he get really big?
So bearded dragons, he's not a full-grown one. They can get pretty long, maybe 3 or more feet long. But they're not as big as some of the lizards in the lizard world. This one is a reddish-brown colored, and he is going to be watching for other lizards in the area. They're always scanning and looking with good vision for maybe another one passing by. And they'll do one of two things if he sees another boy lizard especially. He's going to decide whether he's going to be friendly or whether he wants to fight. And if he's friendly, he'll do just like you might. He'll wave with a paw. Can you do that? Can you wave at him? Let him know you're his friend. There you go. And if he's not, he'll do the head bob and maybe even blow up that neck beard I was talking about. Which do you think Jesus wants you to be to people you meet?
Kind.
That's right, Jackson. He wants you to be kind, and he wants you to be friendly and show a wave and a smile and not maybe an anger or a frustration, right? And so we can learn already from the bearded dragon a lesson. Yes, Faith?
What do they eat?
Good question. So the bearded dragon loves to eat salads. Do you like salads?
Yes.
Maybe with like apples or maybe even orange slices in it, or grapes or bell pepper or cucumber and lettuce. That sound good? And then he likes to top it off with some crickets and mealworms and bugs. Do you put crickets on your salad?
No.
No? Well, maybe there's a little difference between you and a bearded dragon then. Yes, Jackson?
Salads are my favorite thing to eat.
Salads are your favorite, it's his favorite, and he likes those bugs. So we call that kind of an insectivore veggie eater. So he likes vegetation and insects both. Now you notice he hasn't tried to run away, has he? Well, he's probably enjoying some heat from the lights, and he's checking you guys out. He's watching you right now. He's looking to see what you guys are up to and whether or not I'm going to pick him up and put him on my shirt, and then he's going to try to run away. Well, yes, Miss Hadassah.
Does he get very scared?
He does. He can get scared like any other animal, and here's what he does when he gets scared. That's a good question. He can flatten himself out to look bigger. He can hiss. And he can do the big head bob and the neck flare like I said, but he can also charge or open his mouth and try to look real threatening. Yes, Jackson?
If he gets mad, will he bite?
So any animal with a mouth can bite, right? So sure, but it's very rare. Sometimes they'll use their tail as a whip. Some lizards can lose their tail and drop it in case they're being attacked, but the bearded dragon cannot. The bearded dragon does not drop his tail on purpose. If it falls off, he's had an accident. Something's gone terribly wrong, and it will just scar over where it broke off, and he won't grow a new one. So he's pretty tough. Yes, sir, Caden.
Does he have kids?
So this one doesn't. He's not a father. Bearded dragons can have several, and they live in the Australian outback. Right then, so you say, I'm from Australia. He goes on walkabouts down under, and he lives in the trees. He's diurnal. Now, who can raise their hand and tell me what diurnal means? Anyone? It's the opposite of nocturnal. There's a hint. Let's try Caden again.
Diurnal means when you're up at day.
That is so good, Caden. You are right. That means he's up and at it during the daytime, just like you are. So he's a tough one, and he can help remove the heat, like I say, with his skin. Or if he wants to get warm, he can get up in the sunlight. But just a minute on the questions, and we're going to let Rayleigh and some others touch him on the back. Remember, don't pet him on the mouth. So as you touch him, we're going to come down the line here to Cadence and ask Cadence a question right here. Cadence, as you're touching him, would you mind describing for everyone what you feel?
Kind of a little rough and bumpy.
Rough and bumpy, right? Not soft like our skin. Not smooth in any way. And you can kind of only go one way, right? And that means he's a little tougher to attack or take a bite out of. It's like a tough skin protection. He won't bother you. He's just looking to see who you are. And this dragon is different from the silky versions. Sorry about that. The silky versions have what looks like pajamas on. They don't have a tough skin that feels jagged like this one. All right, and we're going to ask Maisie a question too right in front here and see if we can get a response. Maisie, I was wondering if you could hold his hand. It's funny. Can you hold a hand? Does he have claws?
Yeah.
Are they sharp?
Yeah, kind of.
What do you think he uses those for?
Climbing.
Very good answer. Maisie knows. He's a tree climber, which means he's arboreal. And he can go shooting right up that tree, maybe after a bug or some pretty green leaves that look yummy at the top of the tree. And he'll just shoot right up it. I wonder.
Where does he live?
He lives in the dry, arid regions of Australia, which is a continent way down in the southern hemisphere. Let's see if he'll stay around or not. Yes, Jackson.
Does he have a shield? It looks like he does.
Kind of like a shield, right?
Look at him. He looks like he has a big round shield, and he likes to run away.
He
And,
thought there was a bug.
Spikes.
Spikes and a shield. That's a good way to describe it. Miss Madison.
Why does he have holes on the side of his mouth?
That's a good question. Those holes are for him to be able to hear, just like our ears, right? How about Allie?
How long does he live?
Oh, he can go 15, 20 more years. There's even records of longer in captivity. Most animals can live longer when you're taking good care of them than they can in the wild, because, you know, they're not going to have hawks and owls and things come attack them when they're being taken care of. So this reminds me of another story, a story that's one of my favorite and probably my boy's favorite. You see, one time there were some men, and they were a little bit afraid. Just like he gets afraid and he can puff up or he can hiss, these men were screaming. They were so afraid. And that's very unusual. If you're a fisherman and you're used to being out at sea and it gets so bad that you have to yell for help, that means it's a bad storm. You know the story. The disciples, they were in the boat and they thought they were all going to drown for sure as big angry waves washed over them. And then one of the disciples remembered something. Jesus is sleeping in the back of our boat, they said. Go wake him up. And so they did. And they said, Jesus, we're all going to drown. Help us. Was Jesus afraid of the storm? No. No. Does anyone want to raise their hand so they can tell me what he said to the storm? Yes, Jackson.
Calm, stop.
Be calm. Stop. And did the storm stop, young people? Yes. So let's see. This guy follows the rules of nature, and nature obeys God. So who do you think's in charge of all creation?
God.
God is in charge. Aren't you glad it's God and not someone else? Because I have found that when I put my trust in God, who can sleep in the back of a boat on a stormy night, then there's nothing I need to be afraid of. And if I look at animals like Neo here, and I think about all the things God gave him for defense and ability, and even smarts, just think about what Jesus wants to do with you. You can learn about him in those same stories in the Gospels, and as you read, you can understand what he wants. He wants a friendship with you, and he wants to be like Neo and go, hi, hey, Neo. Everything's good. He does not want to be angry and upset. It is not true that God gets disappointed or angry with you, because you know what? He knows you before he made you. And he knows what you're going to do. And you can't surprise him. But you can learn to love him, can't you? And so just like Neo gets used to me or Andrea and gets used to hanging out with us, you can have a friend in Jesus. Yes. Let's get the microphone.
May I hold Neo?
Come on up here and let's see if you can do that. We won't have time for everyone to, but let's see if he'll go face the camera here. And let's see, would you mind if he's on your shirt? Okay, let's see if he likes that. His claws that he uses to climb the tree are gripping right on your shirt there, Jackson. And he's checking you out, and he's feeling your heartbeat with his bones to see if you're scared or calm. And if you're calm, then he's calm, because he'll match your energy. If we're all nervous and scared, then the animals sometimes get that way. Yes, Cadence?
Are there different types of bearded dragons?
My goodness, yes. There's all kinds of different types of bearded dragons. There's different colors. There's reds and blacks. And like I said, silky ones that don't have tough skin, they have soft skin. Yes. Rayleigh?
May I hold Nico?
Okay, so I think we have just enough time for one more, Rayleigh. Do you want to see if you can hold him like I am on your hand? Put one hand under here and see if you can hold him.
Put him on my shirt.
Oh, I don't know. I think he'd rather be on your shoulder. Is that okay?
No.
No? Oh, I love that. That's a classic look right there. He's as shocked as you are, Rayleigh. All right.
Yeah, I can hold him.
So let's wave goodbye to him, just like he waves. And sometimes he'll give you a wave. Thanks, Rayleigh. You can have a seat. And we'll give him back over here to his handler. He's full of energy today, isn't he? And we'll remind you, boys and girls, that you don't have to be afraid of anything either. Like the disciples were in the boat, Jesus can calm the storm and the trouble all around you. Just ask him. He's got you in the palm of his hand. Thanks for coming.